Hi everybody, we're Mike and Jennifer Wendland, and gosh, we've been RVing now, we're going on our 6th year. 6 years, can you believe that?
6 years in a Class B motorhome.
And probably, what, 170,000 miles. We've toured all over North America. And you know, there are lots of rules. You can read rules like, what are some of the rules? Don't burn trash in your
fire pit.
In your fire pit.
Whatever you do, don't do that.
Clean up after your dog, that kind of stuff. Don't forget to check that your antenna's down and the steps are up before you take off. You know all about those rules, or you'll find out about them. But there are some unwritten rules, some things that we've kind of learned probably through trial and error and a lot of error.
Right, and rule number 1 is don't park right next to another camper.
You know, this really makes people mad. If you are, now there's times you're going to have to, if you're in a campground and there's just no other room except next to somebody, then well, that's fine, people will understand that. But if you're in a campground and there's 2 empty spots on both sides of somebody who's already there, and there are other empty spots down the way, take one of those other empty spots. Let them enjoy that space, and you'll get some extra space too. But don't, just because they have a good spot, don't think you got to get right next to them. It's kind of like when somebody's in a fishing hole and you come in your boat right next to them. It's just not good manners. That's rule number 1.
And that even works for when you're boondocking. Because I know once we were boondocking, we were in the middle of nowhere, and we woke up in the morning, we had somebody right next to us. I think maybe they were afraid.
Yeah, it was like, it was crazy. There was room. It was a huge national forest, but they went right next to us. So, but anyway, all right. Rule number 2: don't leave your porch and outside awning lights on all night long.
Oh, you're not camping if you've got all those lights on. It's kind of like running your generator all night long. People want to get in the dark and quiet, see the stars. They don't want to see your porch light.
Now, you know, it's okay.
No matter how cute the little flamingos or lanterns or whatever your lights are, they don't want to see that.
Especially all night long. If you want to leave it on, you know, right after dark for a little bit when everybody's still up, that's great. But, you know, at 2 in the morning, it just causes light pollution all over the place. So that's rule number 2.
Rule number 3. Don't smoke cigars if there are other campers within 100 feet of you.
Nothing fouls the air like a cigar. Now, I know some of you guys, you love your cigars. They make you feel manly and all that stuff. But listen, honest, I used to smoke cigars. I'm telling you this. Trust me, brothers. They stink.
Well, I've never smoked cigars, but they stink to me.
They stink. So don't do that. Not in a campground. If there's nobody around, great. But I bet your wife doesn't let you smoke a cigar in your house. Well, your house when you're camping is everybody who's around you. So don't smoke cigars in a campground. I actually saw, remember that, I think we were in near Rocky Mountain National Park in that KOA, and there was almost a fist fight over some guy who was smoking a cigar like 5 or 6 campers over, and his odor, it was just like the whole campground stunk of it.
That's probably why he was smoking outside. His wife wouldn't let him.
But he ruined it for everybody else, and somebody actually asked him to stop, and the guy wouldn't stop, and well, it got very out of hand. So avoid that. Don't smoke cigars, especially if you're within 100 feet of anybody else. All right, rule number 4, don't arrive and set up at a crowded campground after 10 p.m. That's a big one.
That's a real big one. A lot of the parks have that rule posted, or they'll lock the gate so that you can't do it. But it's quite rude to come in at midnight, 1 o'clock, and pop open some adult beverages and start setting up your camp.
Trust me, we've had those experiences. That you particularly find those like on Friday night when everybody leaves the city and they go north and they don't get up there. And we understand. You want to get to...
You're so excited that you're finally there.
But you got to think of everybody, your neighbors in a campground. A campground is a community. It is not just you in the wild. There's very little wild about a campground unless you're boondocking. So be considerate. And if you're going to arrive after 10, stay in a Walmart and then come in first thing in the morning. But don't come in after 10 with all that noise of you setting up your campsite.
Rule number 5, don't drive in the left lane unless you are actively passing another vehicle.
You know, it's illegal to do that in some states now. Have you noticed more and more states as we're traveling have that?
That's a good rule. You shouldn't get in that left lane and just stay there. I mean, unless you're passing, pass, get over.
And you see these guys, these white-knuckled guys, I'm going the speed limit and I will do the speed limit in the left-hand lane. sorry, buddy.
Oh, that's-
You are causing a traffic hazard out there. You're making people angry, and you're giving all RVers a bad name. So don't drive in the left lane unless you're actively passing somebody. Please remember that. Even if you think you're perfect right because you're going the speed limit and they're violating the law, you're just an old curmudgeon. Stop it. Get over in the right-hand lane. Rule number 6, when driving into a parking lot in your RV, always take the back rows.
That is a really good policy to have. It's just considerate to everybody else, and it'll stop future laws about making us all have to park in the back rows. If you're fit and able to camp, go to the park in the back row.
Yeah,
it's good for you.
Yeah, you can always take up a couple of spots back in the back row where nobody fills it up, and then walk that extra space. If you need help carrying your, there's always carts, you can bring it out if you're shopping, but park in the back row and don't be rude. It's just being rude if you take up those spots with your big RV that someone in an automobile would need.
The steps are good for you. It's good to walk. Chances are you've been driving a long time. Good to walk.
That's your physical fitness instructor
It
coming
is.
through.
Walk.
Steps.
Steps are good.
Steps, that's what she said.
Steps. Number 7, don't play music or watch TV outside unless the volume is really low so it doesn't disturb other campers.
That's hard to do sometimes because a lot of people buy these RVs, like we're at an RV show here on the Emerald Coast in Florida, and almost all of these have outside TVs. Boy, that's really getting away from it, right?
I wonder if they have headsets.
That's just not our style.
Probably need a lot of headsets.
A lot of headsets, but most of them have outside TVs, and that's fine, during the day. But all night long, watching the late night shows, the late night talk shows, come on. Most people camp to sort of get away from it. So if you're going to watch that TV or you're going to play music, turn it down. Turn it way down. I think some of my biggest pet peeves are when we were boondocking. And I remember we were in the wilds of Montana. It was gorgeous. And it was just totally wild. And some camper, we couldn't even see him, that he was that far, was playing bluegrass music. And I like bluegrass music, but he was playing it really loud. And it was just disturbing the whole atmosphere. So don't do that.
How can you watch like a sporting event without cheering or making noise? I don't know how you do that.
If it's during the day, great. But at night,
it's
no.
hard in the evening not to get involved.
Turn it down. Number 8. All right, now listen up. If your RV breaks down, I got to give you a little reality check here. Do not expect immediate service from an RV dealer. Here's a better solution. RV dealers are almost always busy. Mobile RV repair techs are more responsive and usually can fix anything wrong with most RVs. We've learned that the hard way too a couple of times.
Yeah, they're there. You call them, they come. It's great.
It's a challenge for an RV dealer to get emergency repairs done. Now many of them will do that, but many of them won't because they will give first priority to their own customers. So if you're traveling and I just had a case this week on our social media blog, our social media site on Facebook. Somebody had needed to get their macerator, the sewer hose fixed, the new macerator hose. And the guy says they can't do it for 2 weeks, the dealer, because they're busy. They really do get busy. It is a seasonal task in most places. RV, very few places except in the south or southwest have all year-round staffing, full staffing of their RV service centers. So don't expect you're going to get in right away. But don't panic. Just pick up the phone or look at a campground. Most of them have a RV mobile tech that's available. And we have found those guys to be incredible. They'll come right to you and fix it right there. Much quicker and much less hassle involved than taking it to a RV dealer.
When you think of it, they're ready to drop everything and tend to you. A dealer, people have scheduled appointments. It's rather unrealistic to think that they're going to tell those people who made their appointment a month ago, you gotta wait, we got an emergency here.
Yeah, I don't want to trash dealers because they're trying to run a business and they hire and it's based on demand. But the mobile tech, he is there for just such an operation and he can usually take care of your problems.
If it's really, really hot, your RV air conditioner is not going to be able to cool the interior down much below 80.
Now that is one of the myths that technology seems to be permeating the whole RV community. I think now that we have solar and extra battery capacity, that our air conditioners are going to be super more efficient, and well, they're not. It's the most intensive power drain in your RV, the air conditioner. So you're not going to be able to run this thing for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. But it is not going to cool you off because, well, think about what you're in with your RV.
a lot of heat. It's just like a car. It heats up really quick, at like 30 degrees warmer.
Yeah,
in your RV.
In just like 15 minutes of the sun.
Incredible, the heat.
It's like you're in a tin can. I mean, it really is. And even though you can do things like put Reflectex in your windows and keep the drapes closed and run like your fantastic fan, your roof fan, you know, before you put on the AC. And if it's humid in particular, an AC is not going to get you down. When it's really hot in the 90s and the 100s, as many of you experience in the Southwest, it is not going to cool you off much more in 80s. Unwritten rule number 10. It's going to get harder and harder to find camping spots in traditional campsites. To consistently find an overnight spot, you're going to have to learn how to boondock. Boy, we have learned that too.
We've learned that the hard way.
You can see, I mean, they are selling RVs at record paces. Next year is supposed to be even another record-setting year. They're selling these things by the hundreds of thousands of new RVers coming in every year. You don't see hundreds of thousands of new campsites opening every year. What you are finding is more and more crowded campgrounds. It becomes more and more difficult to get a campsite without a reservation. And that's why we like boondocking in national forest and BLM land.
That's the way to go. So figure it out. Get your maps, get ready.
Okay, so those are our 10 unwritten rules. There are probably more. You may have a couple more that you'd like to add. You can do so. Just use the comments below, and also let us know what you think of what we've just shared. You might want to amplify on that. And we invite you, please, to subscribe to our RV Lifestyle channel here on YouTube. We're Mike and Jennifer Wendland.
Thanks for watching.